So hello, my name is Joseph Lee. I'm the Customer Relationship Management Specialist here at the center. And today we're going to be having like a fun little Excel workshop where we're going to dive deep into some of the basic tools you can use for data analysis within Excel. And I just sent a link in chat, which should send you to a Google Sheet, and that's going to contain our data set for today. What you want to do once you click on the link is you want to go under, I think it's file, and you want to download it as a Microsoft Excel so that you can actually work with the Excel software on your computer. So I'll give everybody like a couple minutes to do that, but while everybody's downloading the file, I guess I could sort of go over the learning objectives today. So yeah, today, after taking this workshop, you should be able to recognize the basic data analytics cycle using Excel. And after that, you should be able to implement some of the Excel commands that we're going to learn today to clean, analyze, and lastly visualize data. And with the new Excel commands, you're going to apply the new Excel commands onto the various data sets that we're going to work with today. And lastly, Excel is very important, so you should be able to execute these skills, and it should be needed for pretty much any like office job these days, whether you're going to market research, data analytics, even like teachers, education, pretty much a lot of jobs required. So it's good to have a good understanding of it and understand some of the features and tools within Excel. Yeah, with that being said, we can sort of like define what data analytics is. It's pretty much the process of taking raw data and transforming it to gain information out of that data and coming up with insights from that. And some of the basic steps include cleaning, analyzing, visualizing, and lastly, reporting. And Excel is a really good tool for data analytics since it's very accessible. Pretty much every computer has, no matter the OS, has Excel. Very easy to use, and most of the work is pretty much done for you in Excel. It's pretty much, you just got to understand which tools to use, whatever situation you're in. Yeah, and before we hop into the Excel, I just want to quickly define what data cleaning is. It's pretty much the process of cleaning and formatting your data for proper analysis, whether it be getting rid of any extra spaces, making sure the entries are right, and changing the data types to see fit. And this is probably one of the most important steps for any good analysis, since having unclean data usually results in malfunction. Usually you get like very wrong representation of your data when you create visualizations and stuff. So it's really important to have clean data to work with. And with that being said, we're gonna hop on to Excel to get started with our workshop. So I hope everybody has their data set downloaded by now and should be opened on Excel. So once you open Excel, you should sort of see this. We have a couple of worksheets that we're going to work with today, but we're going to start with this clean one right here. Let's see. So yeah, in this clean worksheet, as you can see, we have some website data. As you can see, we have whether their location. We also have information on whether they opened or clicked on a website or not. So we have some data to work with, but as you guys can see, it's not in the most optimal of states. It's pretty jumbled up. It's very messy. So what we want to do first is to make sure that each column gets separated to different columns. So what we're gonna do is first select all the data you can just click on the A and it'll automatically select all the data for you within that column. And what we want to do is go under data. We're going to go to text to columns. And what this is going to do is Excel's going to automatically just separate all the data into different columns. And it's going to be delimited since they're already separated by commas. But if we didn't have, anything to separate off of, we would have to manually create separations with the fixed width. And as you guys can see, we can, create spacings manually, but since we already have commas, we don't have to do that. And since it's comma separating our data, we're just gonna select comma. We're gonna press finish. And as you can see, all the data separated nice and into different columns. Makes analyzing data much easier instead of having to, see jumbled up data and all in one column. Yeah, we have that done. Now, we also have some empty rows. Usually when you have empty rows or just like totally blank rows, it's just a good idea to, just put them at the bottom just by using sort. So what Excel is gonna do is gonna put all the text into alphabetical order, and it's gonna send all these to the bottom. So what we're gonna do is select all the data, and the cool shortcut to that, if you have very large data sets, is by pressing Control-Shift-Right, and it's gonna select all the columns until the first blank or the first empty column. And then to select everything downwards here, it's gonna press Control-Shift-Down, and it's gonna send you until the first break. So you wanna keep pressing Control-Shift-Down until you reach the bottom. So yeah. Now that we have all our data selected, all we're gonna do is just under the Home ribbon, I think Home tab, it's gonna go on Sort. You can sort in any alphabetical order. You can go A to Z. As you can see, when we sort it, sends all the empty cells to the bottom, which makes it really convenient and just makes everything tidier. Yeah, and so that's looking much better than what we had so far. But as you can see, we also have some formatting issues with our dates. This can occur if you're importing large amounts of data from different regions, different time zones. As you can see, this you can't understand this. So what we're gonna do is, it's really easy. All you're gonna do is select all the dates, all the data that you want to select. And what you're gonna do is under the Home tab, you're just gonna go here, which is the number format. And you're just gonna change the number type to a short date. So, and it's gonna show up these hashtags. All you have to do is just expand it. Then now it's all in a uniform format, so we actually can understand our dates now. So you want to do that if you're importing. This can happen if you're importing from different regions, so it's good idea to have this. One more feature that I want to show you is the trim function, which gets rid of any extra spaces before, in between, or after your entry. Mine's already done for some reason, but let me come up with the example. So yeah, let's say we had like a lot of weird spacings with our text data. This could happen if you're importing like large amounts of text data, and when you're importing it could just result in weird formats like this. So what we're gonna do is utilize this Excel function called trim. What's gonna do, like I said earlier, is gonna just get rid of any extra spaces within the text data. So what we want to do is first create a new column. All we're gonna do is right click and insert. And here, right next to the whatever text data we're working with, we're just gonna go type equal trim, and you can press tab. And then it's gonna ask us for a text, which we want to trim spaces off of this Angela Thompson. So we're gonna press A2, and we're just gonna press enter. So yeah, as you guys can see, it gets rid of all these extra spaces. And to paste the format down, all we're gonna do is just double click at if you guys see that square at the bottom right. If you double click it, it's just gonna paste the formula down until there's the break. So as you can see, all our spacing issues are just, what we have to do now is just paste our values here. As you guys can see, when I click, it shows us the formula instead of the actual text value. So what we're gonna do is select all the data. We're gonna copy it by Control-C, or right copy, Control-C, and you're just gonna click on A2. And instead of just pasting, you wanna just paste the values. So as you can see, all our spacings are issues are addressed. And since we figured that out, we don't need this column anymore. So we're just gonna delete it. So yeah, those are some of the basic like cleaning functions within Excel. Like I said, this is a pretty introductory Excel course, Excel workshop, so I'll just keep it there. And with that being said, we can go back to the slides to learn a little bit more about some of the different Excel tools. And if you guys have any questions or any comments, just feel free to leave in chat. I'll make sure to address them. So now we'll go some of the like analysis tools within Excel. So yeah, so some of these tools can be used when you're working with data in order to create useful insights and actually understand your data. So some of the tools that are used in Excel for analysis include, creating if statements. There's a couple referencing functions, which I'll show you guys later. We can also utilize tables and pivot tables. So they're very useful tools for, understanding your data and seeing how they interact with each other. So now that we understand some of the analysis tools, we can go back to Excel and then we can get started on that. Yeah. So yeah, now we finished with this one. We're just gonna click on the reference sheet at the bottom. So here I want to show you this function called a VLOOKUP. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna look up values from a different table, and it's gonna return a value back over here based on what we're looking for. And this is really good for getting parts of data that that are in different tables. Like, getting a lot of teachers and professors use it to assign letter grades to their final scores. And in this example, we're gonna utilize this to get the actual country name based off their country code. So what we're gonna do is click on the cell right here. We're just gonna type equals VLOOKUP. And it's gonna ask us for a lookup value. And in this case, we want to look up the CA for reference. And then for the table array, we're gonna select this table right here, just the values. Since we want Excel to look up this table for our value. And for this parameter right here, it's asking for the column index number. We're gonna type in 2 because we want Excel to return value from the second column, which is the actual country names. And then we want the exact match. So we're gonna type in false in all capital. Yeah. And before we press enter, what we want to do is make sure we lock our references. I'll show you guys in a bit, but as you guys can see, the VLOOKUP works. It looked up CA in this table to return us Canada. But if you don't lock our references, let's see if I paste it here. As you guys can see, it starts to drag down the reference. It's not staying still. So what we want to do is press we want to go back on the formula and want to press F4 on the table array for both K2 and for L11. Press F4 for those. And we press enter again. And we paste the formula down and make sure that our table array is locked in place. So it's really good it's really good for automating data entry and just looking up information that's especially when you're dealing with a large data set, you don't want to manually look up information from different tables. So VLOOKUP and referencing in general is just a very good tool to have. And next we're gonna move on to this index worksheet. And there's another cool thing you can do with VLOOKUP. We're gonna go under the ID column and type in VLOOKUP. Let's say you want to reference off this table to get the ID number for each employee. We can set it up and structure in a way that our name can look like this. So what we're gonna do is VLOOKUP for the lookup value, we want to structure our names to look like this. So we're going to click on the last name first. And then we're going to click, we're going to not click on, we're going to type ampersand and the double quotes, comma, space, comma, and we're going to put another ampersand. And we're going to press A2, which is their first name. So what we did there is just structure the name so that we are telling Excel to look up our value that looks like this. And same thing, the table array, we just want to select the data from the other table. And same thing, we want to type 2 since we want Excel to return value from the second column. And we're going to type false. Oops, not that. And like before, you want to make sure you lock your table reference just by pressing F4 on the table array for both G2 and for H18. We're just going to press enter. As you guys can see, we got the ID number for each employee just by referencing off this table right here. So that's really convenient, especially when you're dealing with large data sets. However, there are some limitations within VLOOKUP. As you guys can see, if you try to do the same thing for this table, if you want to look up the sales numbers for each of the employees, you can't do that since their name is separated into multiple columns, and VLOOKUP doesn't allow us to do that. So we're going to have to utilize this function called match, which is pretty similar to VLOOKUP in terms of what it's asking for. So we're going to go under sales, match. As you guys can see, the parameters are pretty similar. It's going to ask us for the lookup value, which is Lopez Maria, comma, and then for the lookup array, we're going to structure it like how we did before, where it's going to be, instead of just one name this time, we want to select the data within the column. And what this is doing is Excel is going to create like a temporary list where it's gonna match with our lookup value right here, and then it's gonna return us the position which the name is located in. So yeah, so first we selected the last name, and then we put the ampersand, and then quotes, comma, space, quote, and we're gonna put another ampersand, and we're gonna put the first name values. And we want it to be exact match, so we're going to type 0. And can press OK. If you have to lock. Yeah, you want to make sure you lock your lookup array as well. By pressing F4 on the B's and the A's. And as you guys can see, it shows us the what's that, the position number of the employee. So as you guys can see, within our table array, it's in the second position, which is in the third row for Maria Lopez. But this is not what we're looking for. We're trying to get the sales number, and for this we have to utilize another function on top of that, which is index. So we're just going to type in index. And we're gonna put a what's that thing called? The parentheses, or these parentheses. But yeah, and here it's gonna ask us for array. We're gonna select the entire row entire column for the sales number. And this is gonna be our return value. So we're just gonna select all our sales numbers. We're gonna type a comma, and we're gonna close the parentheses at the end. And if you press enter, we finally get the sales number associated with each employee. So yeah, this sort of like addresses some of the limitations within VLOOKUP when you have to reference off of multiple columns. So I think if you paste it on, oh yeah, you want to make sure you lock your references as well, or lock the array, I mean, just by pressing F4 like I've been saying. And if you paste it down, now we get the sales number associated with each employee. So referencing is a very powerful tool within Excel. It just makes data entry that much easier, and it saves a lot of manual time. So It's really good to have referencing down. And next, we're going to look into some of the if statements within Excel. We're going to keep it pretty basic. We're just going to go over one, top with an aggregate function. So yeah, let's say you wanted to, with this data right here, you wanted to get the number of, you want to get the count of times a person opened their email from each country. So what we're going to do is utilize this function called COUNTIF. So this is pretty much, if you guys know Excel, it's pretty much the count function, but if we add an if on top of it, it does the same thing, but we can add like a criteria. So first we're gonna select the range. We're looking for the country, so we're just gonna select the country for our range. It's a good practice to type the formula in the actual formula bar if you actually want to click some of the data, but let's do that again. You want to select the country range since that's what we're looking for. I guess we could just type I2, and that's going to show us Argentina. What it's telling Excel is to, within this range, just show any entry that shows that country from Argentina opened the website. So we're just going to press enter. And like before, we want to make sure before we paste our formula to lock our range by pressing F4. So as you can see, that's pretty correct. Let's try to find Argentina. As you guys can see, one person from Argentina opened their email, and that's exactly what we're looking for. I'm gonna paste this down, and I think that's pretty correct. It's really good if you want like a quick summary of your data, and if you top it off with an aggregate function, it just allows you to understand your data a bit better. You can see what's going on within your data. And there's another one called COUNTIFs. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's just you can add multiple criteria instead of just one. So let's say you wanted to see who opened their emails within the past 5 days. So for the criteria one, it's going to be the same thing like we did before. Just select the country range, and then we're going to click Argentina. And now this is the fun part, which is the second criteria. So it allows us to sort of like filter and narrow down what we're looking for even further. It's a really good tool. So for this, we're gonna look into the range column, since that's what we're looking for. And for the criteria, it's gonna be, let's see. Oopsies. We're gonna do this. I'll explain to you a bit later. So we're gonna be greater than and ampersand today's date minus the past 5 days. So what this is telling Excel is to within this days is gonna tell us which countries or which entries have their websites open within the past 5 days. As you guys can see, we need quotations around our logical statement, and we want to make sure we lock our references as well. And we need this ampersand as well, just so that we're telling Excel to actually do calculations with the value within J16 instead of actually trying to do the calculation of J16, like the text value. So we've got to make sure we lock our references, not only for this one, but also for our our column ranges as well. So for our country range and also for our date range. And if you press enter, we should get 1. And if you paste the formula down, I know there's an example with Hong Kong. As you can see, they did open our website, but since it hasn't been open within the past 5 days, it wasn't included in our summary. So like I said, if statements are really good just to narrow down your data and sort of see exactly what you're looking for. It's a really powerful tool within Excel for analysis. Now that we understand some of the tools, like some of the formulas within Excel, we can sort of move on to this table worksheet right here. I don't know if it's already set up as tables for you guys, but if it's not set up as tables, all you're gonna do is press Control T when you click any of the cells. You're gonna press Control T, and it should give you like a pop-up, like there's gonna be headers. You just want to press OK, and once you do, you should get something like this, where it looks a little bit cleaner, and you get a lot more features than just having like plain data right here. As you guys can see, we have some like the sorting and filtering for each column already for us. And cool thing about table is that if you want to do calculations within tables, it does it automatically. Let's say you want to, I guess I already did it, but let's say I did not have this. Let's say you want to add another table, another column to it. Let's say you want to, find like the existing number of users for each of your website. All you want to do is insert a new column. And as you can see, when you insert within a table, it automatically becomes part of a table. So it's really convenient. And to find the existing number of users, all you would have to do is subtract the total number of users minus the new number of users. And this should give us our existing users. So once we press enter, as you guys can see, Excel does everything for us. It all automatically pastes the formula down. So it's really good for, letting Excel do the work. And usually most of the time, sometimes there could be human error. So it sort of gets rid of that factor. And we want to change the name to existing. All you're going to do is double click and just change the name. Excuse myself. So yeah, and there's a lot of neat features within the table. If you go under the table design right here, this table design tab, this only shows when you're clicking on a table. If we enter this total row, if you check it, as you guys can see, we get like sort of aggregate information, aggregate data at the bottom. Let's say we want to find the total number of revenues for September and August. All you do is, if you see this drop down arrow, you can just get like, where's this total? Like the total revenue for month of September and August. And let's say you want to find like the average number of users. You just click on the down arrow, and Excel gives you a lot of options with how to aggregate the data, whether you want average or the count. So it's really convenient too. And you can also filter it down so you get like subtotals of exactly what you're looking for. And let's say you wanted to, just look at, I don't know, like United Kingdom. All you do is just click on the country drop-down arrow and go under. If you click on the search bar, you can just type in United. And you just want to select United Kingdom if that's what you're looking for. Oopsies. And as you can see, we only get results from the United Kingdom. And within the total bar, it only shows us the subtotal of United Kingdom data only. So we get like the average number of users within United Kingdom websites. Same with like the bounce rate and the total revenues. Yeah, that's a really convenient tool as well. Let's just get rid of the filter for now. So yeah, now that you know some of the features within a table, I think we're ready to create some pivot tables, which is a very powerful tool within Excel. So what we're gonna do is, you can just select any data, whether it be like A2 or B. Let's just click on this one for right now, and we're gonna go under the Insert tab, and we're gonna create this thing called a pivot table. And it should show us this pop-up right here. We're just gonna press OK. So yeah, now we're sent to a new worksheet, and this is gonna be our pivot table. So pivot tables are really good on the fact that, it helps us play around with the data a lot more, and it gives us a lot of flexibility and options to sort of understand their data a lot more than, manually searching for what we're looking for. It's really convenient since it's just clicking and dragging different columns into here to see. You can even filter it, but you can really just drag it just to see how the columns interact with each other. So yeah, let's say we wanted to find like, say you want to find like the total number of sessions from each country. So total number of web traffic from each country. All we're gonna do is drag the country into rows. So yeah, let's say you want to find the monthly web traffic for each country. You would just drag country to rows and the sum into the values, since we're looking for total traffic for each month. And we're going to drag month into here as well. And you can play around with it and see what works best for you. Let's say if you were to drag the country into the rows, as you can see, it's pretty hard to see. It's a lot harder to work with horizontal data sheets, I guess. So we want to make sure we have our countries and our rows, and we have our month over here. So as you guys can see, we get the total number of website sessions for the month of August of September. So that's really convenient. It allows for easier way to see our data rather than just having a big just the data set to look at. Having this is a lot easier and can actually make it interact as well. Let's say you want to see like comparison between the 2 months. Let's say you want to see the total difference between the month of August and September. What we want to do is drag sessions again. So we would have two sessions right here. And what we're going to do is first hide these totals. So what we're going to do is click both the F, and we're going to press Control and click G. And we're going to right click, and we're just going to hide it since we don't really need it. And same for this C column as well. We don't really need it, so we're going to right click on C. We're just going to hide it. And yeah, so for this column, we want it to show the differences between the previous month. So what we're going to do is click on top of the sum of sessions 2, and you should see sort of like this black arrow at the top when you hover over it. And once that does show up, you want to click it, and that should automatically select all the data within this column. And what we're going to do is right click. We're going to go to show value as, and we want to show the difference, the total difference from. And for the base field, we want to calculate by the month, since we're doing comparison between the month. And base item, we're going to leave it as previous. Oh. Weird. Let's see. Show value as this month. So yeah, you want to, like, if that popped up for you guys as well, you want to go to show value as difference from. I guess there's difference between month and months. I guess month shows like the individual days. So you want to click on month. That should show you the total number for September and August. So as you guys can see, we actually have, now a difference between August and September. As you guys can see, for Argentina, seems to be that there's a growth in website traffic for September, but it seems that it's a lot of negatives. So yeah, usually if there's a large amounts of data that you're looking at, it's good to utilize this tool called conditional formatting. And this allows you to get a visual representation of, and you can get sort of like the trend of what the data is looking like. So what we're going to do is click on this, go back here and click on that black arrow again. So that selects all our data. And we're going to utilize this tool called conditional formatting. And this is pretty much going to highlight or show us like what our data is looking like. So we're going to go under icon sets, and we're just going to click on this one since it makes the most sense. But yeah, as you guys can see, we have all greens, which is not what we're looking for, since we don't want it to show positive arrows when it's a negative number. So that means we have to make some edits to our conditional formatting. So we're going to go back up here with our data still selected. We're going to go to manage rules, and we're going to click edit rule. So as you guys can see, this is not what we want. We want to show green when it's anything above 0.01. And we want to change this to numbers. Change the type to numbers. And we want to show anything that's above 0.1 to be a positive arrow. Anything that's 0, no change, just remains as is. And anything lower than 0 will be a down arrow, red. So yeah, we're going to press OK. And we're going to press OK again. And as you guys can see, we now sort of have a better understanding of what our data is looking like. As you guys can see, there's a good mix of both traffic increase and traffic decrease. A better way to sort of see this is like I showed you guys earlier. If you guys have access to the chevron right here, you can sort of filter. To show like the top 10 values, and the top 10 values should sort of give you a better picture of what the data is looking like for the month of September. So we're going to click on this drop arrow. We're going to go to filter by value filters, and we're going to click top 10. And we're going to press OK. So as you guys can see, we have a filtered down list of our data, but as you guys can see, shows that we're sort of trending downwards for the month of September. So this should help us get sort of familiar with the data and help us to see and identify the problems for a month. And with this data, maybe you can work on implementing a better marketing plan for next month's website performance. So it's really good tool for that. As you guys can see, pivot tables just help us play with our data a bit and help us to understand it better, just by clicking and dragging different columns into the different fields. So it's a really convenient tool. And lastly, and one more thing that I want to show you is if you guys click here anywhere within the pivot table, there's this thing called a slicer. So we're going to go into pivot table analyze. I'm going to insert a slicer. And we want to click on this. And this is like a more interactive filter, I guess. So what this column means is that this is where our searches come from, where the traffic is coming from, organic searches, paid search. As you guys can see with the slicer, it provides a more interactive way of filtering data. As you guys can see, for our sessions from direct channels, we have a lot of negatives. So overall, it's a very cool way of filtering instead of just dragging the filter over here. I personally like slices a bit more, and you can utilize this later for our visualizations that we're going to go. So that's pretty much the main tools for analysis within Excel. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the last bit of our workshop, which is data visualization within Excel. So we're going to move on to the slides for a bit. So the data visualization is pretty much like the name suggests, a visual representation of your information and data based on the analysis that you performed. And this is a very vital process as well, as it allows us to see and understand the data through graphs, maps, and other statistics. So overall, it's a very important tool. And now that we have a sort of good understanding of it, we're going to go back to Excel, and I'm going to show you guys how to make some visualizations and charts within Excel. This is probably the easiest part of the workshop, since Excel pretty much does everything for us. And for the sake of time, I already created the pivot tables for you. So this is going to look at what we have over here, which is total traffic from each of our each of our session sources for each month. So to create a chart in Excel, all you're going to do is just select the data that you want. We're just going to click and drag until we hit this corner right here. We don't want to include the totals. So under the bar worksheet, we're just going to select our the data that we want, and then under the insert tab, we're just going to click on recommended charts, and it should just recommend us a bar chart. But in Excel, there's a lot of charts as well, but bar charts are usually pretty popular. But you can still play around and see which visualization fits your needs. So we're just going to press OK. As you guys can see, that's it. You just create your first visualization within Excel. So it's pretty much decorative changes from here. So what we want to do is sort of just make it cleaner and make it a bit more understandable. So what we're going to do is, first we want to get rid of these. This happens when you're creating pivot charts, which is creating visualizations from a pivot table. So what we want to do is just right click on any of these field buttons. Just right click, and we're going to hide the field buttons. And that just sort of like fills up our chart. And what we want to do is now we just make the decorative changes, like I said. Within Excel, there's a lot of elements you can choose from. You can add an axis title. And here you can also choose where to put your, well, not axis title, chart title. And chart titles are always necessary. And in this example, I don't think we'll need an axis title since we already have pretty much everything at the bottom, where our sources are from and our total number of sessions. So yeah, like I said, it's pretty much all situational. It's pretty much playing around with what you have. And since this is from a pivot chart, since this is from a pivot table, you still have the ability to use a slicer. Let's say you just want to look for the month of April. When you click on it, as you can see, it automatically updates your chart as well, not only your pivot table, but also your chart. And you can have multiple months as well, just by pressing Control and clicking on it. So now we can, do comparison between August and what's that? August and what's that called? April. For the sake of this workshop, we're just gonna all do March. Let's just say we're doing like a report on March. So yeah, and you can also see other elements within the chart. You can have error bars, and you can also get rid of your grid lines. You can also get rid of your legends if you want. And you can also sort of change like the styling of your visualization. As you guys can see, Excel provides quite good choices. I personally like this one since it looks very clean and looks very Microsoft. So I think it looks very cool. And you can also format like the width of this as well. If you click on this one, if you click on any of the bars, it should select all the other bars for you as well. We're gonna go to right click, and we're gonna format the data series. So within here, you can change the width of each bar just by dragging down. As you guys can see, it sort of fills the visual a bit more, and it makes it a little easier to read. And there's other options as well for decorations. You can change like the fill. If you don't like the blue fill color, you can just change it to, I don't know, like yellow. That's what you choose. I like blue. I will keep it blue. And you can also add like a border as well to each of the bar. If you under this bucket, there's the border. You can add a solid line. And you can also change the color of the border. You can change the width. As you guys can see, there's a lot of options. And I think that looks pretty good. We just want to change our chart title to sort of see fit. We're going to call it sum of sessions. So we're getting the sum of the different sessions. So I think that's a good title. But yeah, as you guys can see, it's pretty much making decorative changes. Excel did our visualization for us. And let's create one more. if you go into this pie, let's create a pie chart just for the sake of it. Let's say, so this is pretty much what we did earlier, which is getting each country's total number of website sessions. So like before, we just want to select the data that we want. We're gonna just select just these right here. And we're gonna go to insert. This time we want to create a pie chart, so we're just gonna go under the pie. You can just click on this one. Yeah, like before, it's pretty much decorative changes. So we want to get rid of these field buttons. Like before, right-clicking and hiding all the field buttons. And can also go into chart elements. As you guys can see, pie chart doesn't have too much room for play, but you can also add like a data label, which shows us the exact number. And you can also adjust where the data label is by clicking on the right arrow right here. And you can put it outside, inside, a lot of options. I think it looks better on the outside, so I'll keep it at that. And you can also change the location of your legend. I think this kind of takes away from the pie chart, so we want to put it at the bottom. So like I said, click on the right here. I'm gonna select bottom. And one more thing that we can do is, and like before, since this is a pivot chart, we can still utilize the slicer to get whatever we're looking for. What's the question in chat? Can you show the bar chart bar horizontally? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. Let's see. I didn't really look into that too much, but I think you can change it here. Yeah, I think you can just, if you right click, you can always change the chart type. I don't know if there's a one right here. Let's see. Yeah, you can always just change the bar chart type just by right clicking on it and just change the chart type. We're just on columns, so we can go bar chart right here. And if you wanted a horizontal, we could do that as well. So yeah, as you can see, Excel does all the work for us. We just gotta select which one works best for our situation. So with that being said, we can go back to the pies. Oh yeah, one issue with this is that this is March, right? Okay. One issue with this is that colors might be too similar and might make it harder for us to understand which one's which. So we can actually change the color of our pie as well. If you click on any of the pie, I think if you double click, you can select the, oopsies. If you double click separately, you can select a specific piece of the pie and can right click. I guess you can change the, actually let's go to the format data point. And let's go to this bucket option right here. We can change the fill right here, the color. What's the color that stands out? I don't know, like green. As you guys can see, we changed it green. And another cool thing is that it also changes the legend automatically as well. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's make some final decorative changes. Let's add like a border, I guess. Can add like a solid line. I think that looks all right. So we're gonna keep it at that. As you guys can see, we already created two visuals, very easy. And I want to show you guys one more cool one, which is if you have, geographical data. As you guys can see, we have different countries. So we're going to utilize this thing called maps, but we can't create that in a pivot table. So we sort of have to play around with it. So what we want to do is select all of our data right here. So, like I showed you guys earlier, by pressing Control-Shift-Right and Control-Shift down. You guys don't have a totals bar, right? You guys don't have a totals bar. If you guys don't have totals bar, that's perfect. What we're gonna do is just copy, and we're gonna paste our value here. So since we can't create it in a pivot table, we have to sort of create like a copy of it, and we're gonna create our map from here. And while this is still selected, we want to go to Insert, and I believe it was this one, Maps. and we're gonna click on this one. It might take a while, so don't worry if it's sort of lagging for you, but as you guys can see, we have sort of like a global map to see which countries show the most amount of website traffic. And let's see. Oh yeah, what we want to do is before we make any changes to this, we want to go to the select data, which is under the chart design. And now we want to transfer it over to the pivot table. So what we're going to do is instead of L4, we're going to click next to L. You don't want to use any of the arrow keys, or it's going to do something weird. So you just want to make sure you select the column from the pivot table, so which is A, and it ends with an I column. So we're going to change this to I. And now our data is transferred over to the pivot table, and we still have access to our map. Let's see comment. Well, like I stated earlier, you have to copy the table since you can't create maps within the pivot table. So you sort of had to paste the values here just so that we can get started with the map chart. Let me show you an example. If you want to create a map using a pivot table, you can't. It gives you this pop-up right here. So you sort of have to create a second table to create it. And now that we have our map, we don't really need this anymore. So we're just gonna select all of our data by pressing Control-Shift-Right, Control-Shift-Down. We're just gonna clear the content. We don't need it anymore. Not clear the content, I guess. Delete.
James, this is an amazing stat. This would be his 18th straight year average.
Yeah, we have our map right here.
The closest guy.
You can also implement a slicer here as well.
If he does it 18 straight
if you click on, I thought I had a slicer already, but to add a slicer, like I showed you guys earlier, just click on the pivot table and the pivot table analyze tab and click insert slicer. And I believe we set it to the month. So we're gonna click month. And as you guys can see, we can now filter it with whatever month we're trying to look for. I think we kept it at March for all of them, so we're gonna keep it consistent. As you guys can see, for our darker shades, it's our darker shade means it has more website traffic, so that's what we want. Let's make some final edits before we put it into our dashboard. So like earlier, we're just gonna press this chart element, and we're gonna make some edits. Instead of a chart title, we can just name it instead of with traffic by country, because it's getting the total website traffic from each country. I think that's good. And since it's pretty self-explanatory that darker shades are the more heavy web traffic, I think we could just get rid of the legend, and it'll just fill up our web map even more. And we don't need the data labels since we just sort of want to see a visual of which countries have the highest number of website traffic. So I think what we have is good. You can also go under styles here. There's a couple options. I think this one's really good since it sort of shows you like a border of each of the countries, and that might make looking at each country easier. So I think it shows the legend again. So we're gonna get rid of the legend. But yeah, with that, that's pretty much all the visuals that I want to show you. Now, what we're gonna do is put them on into a dashboard, just so that we can have all our visuals all in one cohesive place. So in a dashboard, you don't want any of these gray lines. So what we're gonna do is, I think it was data. No, it was page layout. You wanna go into the page layout tab, and you wanna get rid of these grid lines by unchecking the view. Now we get like a single page to work with. So all we're gonna do now is just actually before we do that, let's put back our grid lines. Let's sort of type in like a company name. Let's say we're doing like an actual report to like company executives or clients. Let's say we're reporting to AMI company for the website traffic, web traffic report for March. And then you could put like today's date, 12/10/2021. And it's pretty much like doing it in Microsoft Word. You're just formatting it to make it look nice. You want to make it, let's just bold it as well by pressing Control B. And let's move it to the center. And if you double click on these like edges right here next to the column, it automatically expands to fit your data, whatever you have inside the cell. So it's really convenient. And let's just make these fonts a bit bigger. I think if you expand it, you can get whatever. Let's not make it too big. And I think you can merge these as well. You can merge the center. Oh, never mind. But yeah, now that we have these, we can get rid of our grid lines just by going to the page layout again and unclicking grid line. Usually it's a good idea to have a background, but I can't seem to find the right background for it. Let's say, for example, we wanted to add like an AMI background. If you don't have the correct resolution for it, it's just gonna paste multiple AMI, and we don't want that, so we're just gonna keep it white for today. And what we're gonna do now is just copy paste all our visuals and also our slicer, just so that we can filter whenever we need to. So we're just gonna hold Shift, we're gonna hold Control and just left click on these. When you're working with the map, it might, it might be laggy. It might say like not responding, but just wait and it'll be ready. So yeah, once it's ready, you can just paste it here. But the map takes a while since it's actually utilizing Bing to sort of retrieve the globe map. So that's the reason why it's taking a little longer. Or it might be just that I have bad Wi-Fi. But so yeah, we have our map selected. And let's paste the other visuals as well by just Control C, Control V ink. And lastly, our bar chart. So the last is pretty much just whatever if you're a creative person, you can make all sorts of changes to it. You can change like the theme, change like the colors right here under the page layout. You can sort of give it like a warm theme. I don't like that. It kind of looks too not professional, so we'll bring it back. So you want to make sure we associate each of our slicers with each of the visuals. And you want to make sure it looks somewhat nice. This isn't the best dashboard, but just to introduce you guys to the world of Excel visuals. Very fun. So what we're going to do is just pretty much decorative changes from here. It's pretty much just dragging and resizing to what you want. And one cool thing about having a slicer is that it makes it really easy for someone like automating your dashboard. Say you want to show April. If you want to show April reports, all you do is just click April for all of them, and there you have it, traffic report for April. But for the sake of this one, let's just keep it at March. I think this one's all right. So it's pretty much resizing. We don't have that much time, so I think we'll just leave it at here. But that's pretty much it. So like we did earlier, we went through a lot today. Went from cleaning data, and we went through some like the tools for analysis within Excel, some of the referencing tools. And we also used some pivot tables as well to see how we can play around with data to see what we're looking for. We also saw some of the benefits of just turning your data into a table. As you guys can see, it just makes it a lot cleaner and just make things a lot more easy to use. And lastly, we create some cool visuals and we all put them into a pretty little dashboard. It can use a bit of work, but I think this is pretty good based on what we have so far. I guess I'll put it, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys, the end product should somewhat look like this. Obviously, once you're more experienced with Excel, it's gonna look a lot better than this, but I think this is a good place to start. So we're gonna end it here. And oh yeah, make sure to press Control Save throughout your projects. I accidentally didn't save, and there was a blackout, so all my stuff got deleted. Make sure not to do that. So yeah, with that being said, we can move back to these slides. So yeah, now that you have completed this workshop, you should be able to understand the various cleaning, analyzing, and visualizing tools within Excel, and understand what it looks like within Excel. And you should also be able to recognize some of the real-world applications of using some of the Excel functions and their features. And now you should be able to utilize some of these Excel tools to clean and analyze and transform your data into insights and to actually create value out of it. And these are some of the resources and references that I use for this workshop. HubSpot Academy, LinkedIn Learning, YouTube, and Coursera. It's all really good resources if you ever want to dive deeper into Excel or any other software that you're interested in. But with that being said, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you guys so much for participating. It's a very fun workshop. Hope you guys learned a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.